Prigozhin, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal! Sorry, had to get that out of the way. But yes, I'm going to comment on the breaking news of Prigozhin's march on Moscow. I don't think this is a false flag. False flags are usually against the country, not the government, and Prigozhin would be done after this. There's no coming back. There's crossing the Rubicon. Now, from my current perspective, which could be wrong, but from what's going on, I have two possible thoughts. Number one, Prigozhin has done his homework, and this has already been worked out with the FSB to seize power, and his march on Moscow is basically propaganda. Putin is dead, Shoigu and Gerasimov are already arrested, and they're going to be blamed for Putin's death. The reason I say this is my first thought for this is that Putin hasn't said anything. He's a dictator who's being openly challenged, and if he doesn't respond immediately with maximum force, well, he'd look weak. Shoigu and Gerasimov also haven't made statements to my knowledge. Prigozhin is also traveling in a column, and he doesn't have air superiority, and as, he may or may not have air defense, but even if he does, would that be enough to stop the entire Russian Air Force from coming and destroying his his entire column? No, I don't think so. So the fact that he's traveling in this way is making himself pretty vulnerable. He also didn't blame Putin for the problems with the war. He blamed Shoigu and Gerasimov. And I think he's doing this because he doesn't want to lose Putin's supporters, and Shoigu and Gerasimov are pretty good scapegoats for Putin's death. It's also a perfect time for a coup. Ukraine is on the offensive, and pretty well all of Russia's army is tied up. Russia can't just, call a timeout and go and deal with the coup real quick. We'll be back in flag. Nah, it's, this in my mind is the most likely scenario. It's all been pre-planned, and everything else is a formality. Option number 2 is Russian leadership is currently paralyzed with fear and incompetence. They don't want to lose their gains, but can't let Prigozhin walk on Moscow. And if this is the case, Prigozhin didn't get the FSB on side, and he's a fucking moron. And if the Russian leadership don't retreat to Crimea and use all available air power to destroy the convoy, they're dumber. You have a mercenary marching his army to your capital. It doesn't matter what you have done in Ukraine or what gains you have in Ukraine. If they topple you from power, they topple you from power. It doesn't matter anymore. But also, Prigozhin has 25,000 men. He claims he has 25,000 men. And it took him months with the help of the Russian army to take Bakhmut. The idea that he's going to be able to take Moscow with that many men is pretty rich. Pretty optimistic, we'll say. So, yeah, I don't know. I still think option one is probably the most likely scenario. There could be other options out there. If you have them, leave them in the comments below. Anywho, those are my quick thoughts. What do you think is going to happen? Ciao to y'all.